Human Back into Technology with Gethin Ellis and Mark Williams. Welcome to the 5th episode of the Fit Podcast. Here at gethinellis.com, whilst we know physical fitness is essential, our mental health is vital too, and our Fit Podcast is all about putting the human back into technology. One thing you can probably all agree on is the last year or so has been unprecedented. We wanted to seek out the views of technology leaders, business owners, consultants and many others from a range of different businesses and organisations to discuss with them the impacts on their business, on their humans and on their technology, and see how they see the future unfolding. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to episode 5. We have no guests on this week's show. We're going to be discussing the announcements that came out of the Microsoft Build conference from a week or so back. Hey Mark, welcome to the 5th. I think it's the 5th episode of Putting the Human Back into Technology. We've got no guest this week. We're focusing on, there's been Microsoft Build, the online conference where Microsoft announced all their new features and things. I don't know if you caught any of the conference yourself, or if you've just looked at the sort of literature that's come out. There's some interesting new things. What caught your eye?
What do you think, Geth? I've cut to the quick. I've looked at somebody else's summary of it. Of course, I have. but obviously, there's it was 2 or 3 days, I think, wasn't it?
3 days. I think finished yesterday.
But yeah, you can dip in and out, can't you, of the sessions that you want, and they're all there and available to see again. It's one of the things with, Microsoft. Okay, we're in the community. But yeah, and I say this a lot on posts. It never ceases to amaze me just how much investment they're putting into all of their platforms and all of their products. I think it's incredible. And frankly, there were dozens and dozens and dozens of things, even just at the headline level, that were being announced. But I guess there was 3 or 4 that caught my attention. Looking through my lens, if you like. There's, obviously, to those in the know, things like so-called low-code and no-code development have been around for some considerable time, and and Microsoft are clearly not the only player in that marketplace. They're not the only player in all the marketplaces that they're involved with, but they're clearly putting a lot of effort into this. And this Power FX thing that they made something of a few months ago, and they were announcing essentially a natural language version of that, which appealed to me because I haven't got a clue how to code things. I mean, you'll know how to do that, but I won't. But it appealed to me because you can think in English, and I think what's really quite interesting is that whilst I genuinely don't think there's any there's any substitute, if you like, for knowing how to develop things. Clearly, there are users or end users that are more technically minded. And can, I think, develop a number of applications themselves, or perhaps with a little bit of guidance, either online or just a little bit of training. So I thought there was a lot in that, and they've got some great. They're forwarding the integration with 365 on the Power Platform, which sounds fantastic. And they're looking at getting more and more dashboards into Teams. And actually, I did think that our managed service on the on the SQL estate stuff, or even on Azure, I did think actually we need to be making a version of that available to go into Teams, into a client's own Teams tenant.
Well, it's funny you say that, Mark, because we do that already.
Oh, well, there we go. Leave that to you. but I mean, it looks great. And also, I think there's a mutual friend of ours. I will mention him on here, Matthew Mills. Third party integration is a big topic for them. They're clearly building out a lot more Jira connectors. So I know he'll be pleased about that. And you and I have both used DevOps, and DevOps is great, but that's not to say that it's perfect for everything. And I think Jira is also great.
You're talking about the Azure DevOps tool now, not the movement.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the concept of DevOps. I'm talking about Azure DevOps. Yes, yeah. Exactly. So my apologies. Yes.
No.
It's exactly what I'm talking about. But I think it's great, with Microsoft that they like all organisations, they want to make money for themselves, but they also recognise that they can't be everything to everybody. And so opening themselves up to integrate with with the bits and pieces is great. And actually, there's some stuff about more and more integration, particularly with respect to search on Salesforce in there. One of the things that really caught my eye now, and I'm just going to check on what it's called. It's called the Azure Confidential Ledger, and essentially this is a really cute announcement from Microsoft around security, where it's obviously something to do with the way the blockchain works, I believe. But essentially, what they're able to do is tell people whether their data has or hasn't been tampered with. And I think that's fantastic from a security perspective, and also fantastic from an audit perspective as well. How do you know that you haven't been breached? Oh, here's this thing that is going to tell me. I think that's absolutely brilliant. And 3 or 4 years ago, I got involved with some e-discovery work. And at the time, this was with GDPR, and at the time there were a number of specialist providers in that marketplace. I won't mention them in here necessarily. Some very, very good products, out there. We went through a client I was advising went through a tender process to help them through that, and we didn't select Microsoft's offering. Right. But one of the reasons for that was that we just felt the whole. They clearly had the right direction to travel, but they weren't quite there yet. Yeah. And they've made some significant announcements in, let's call it search, per se. So some of it in their e-discovery suite, some of it in Windows search, and more, they're allowing you to search for stuff, not just across the Microsoft real estate, but across other third-party. I mentioned Salesforce earlier, other third-party stuff, and actually then to present that and portray it within, say, Windows as an example. And I think just when you start to think about it, one of the reasons why a lot of people like and use Microsoft is it's nice and simple and it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. And if you can start to really get faster, say, subject access requests from GDPR because you haven't got to go off and search in multiple different places, or you're really looking for a single source of the truth, or you want to focus on your data quality, all of that stuff is fantastic. So, like I said, there was lots in there. And actually, we probably could do with poring over it between you and I, couldn't we? But yeah. That was my thoughts.
Well, yeah, and no doubt we will pour over it over the coming weeks. There were a few other interesting bits in there as well that kind of caught my eye. And coming from our sort of data background, and I've been spending a little bit of time looking at Synapse Analytics. Right, and it's a really, really useful data warehousing, modern data warehouse type tool. Well, there was an announcement that they could plug now into Dataverse, which used to be, I forget what it was called before. It was data model. What's it called? Service. Common data model. Common data services. It was now called Dataverse. But you can plug that straight into Synapse now. And I think it's in public preview. Or it's in preview. I'm assuming it's public preview, which is quite good for all those sort of Dynamics 365 users and the Power Apps users who can now take their data that's in Dataverse and run their analytics against it. So I thought that was something that will be probably interesting to some of our customers. Another interesting feature is Purview, and that's a data governance service, and that wasn't new, that wasn't announced, but they're now looking to expand that to MySQL and Postgres and the offerings in Azure, right, as a source for metadata and classification and things like that. So they're expanding that offering. I think Purview will be something that will be relevant to our customers going forward, and these new offerings will obviously help with that. What else? There's some changes in Cosmos DB, right?
There was a shed load of stuff, AI stuff in one form or another, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a lot of AI stuff. There was
difficult to keep up with that. They're just the pace of all the application areas that they're looking at with AI is incredible.
Yeah, and yes, exactly. The AI stuff. They've obviously they've invested a lot there, and that showed in the release that came out. You touched on the ledger stuff. I think that will be interesting for people. And I can't remember what it was called now. Is it there's a couple around this. There's the Azure SQL database ledger, right? And in the release, in the blog post, they're announcing it. It compares it to blockchain, and it suggests this up as a slightly more alternative. And blockchain's got a bit of a well, you either love it or hate it. It's a bit Marmite blockchain, right? It's like if you're into your cryptocurrencies and things like that, people love it. And if you're not a fan of cryptocurrencies because they fund drug dealers and all sorts of other things allegedly, then it might not be for you. So it gives you a little bit of a easier way, as you say, for getting that trust in your data and understanding if it's been breached. And as you say, it's perfect for sort of auditing and understanding what where the odd data's been tampered with. So I think that's going to be very interesting. And I'm keen to kind of explore that a little bit further, which we'll do in the coming weeks. And I think they were the main ones for me. I don't think I've missed. If I have, I've missed something then, which is very likely to be the case as well.
Well, I guess I don't think either of us have missed it as such. But the one thing that we need to talk more about, and also with our trusted associates as well, is how the licensing for all of this works. Let's be honest, Microsoft licensing 10 years ago was bloody hard work, and it's 5 years ago it was hard work, and it's still not the easiest thing in the world to get to grips with. But I mean, it's really important that clients don't just use the latest tech because it's sexy. They need to design with licensing in mind as well, not just the technology. So I think we probably need to get our heads around that, particularly when you've got all the different components like Teams and Power Platform and 365 and Dynamics and Azure, etc. Knowing that you can create the applications and deploy them in different places and making sure you've got the right licenses to do so is clearly going to be pretty important.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that's all we've got to talk about around around MS Build. Some useful features that no doubt we'll be investigating further and will probably make our way into our services and solutions, and no doubt our customers will want them. And well, I guess that's it for this week, Mark. It's been nice chatting. MS Build's give us lots to go away and learn, and I know that there's lots of stuff in Microsoft Learn that will help with a lot of these new features as well from some of the links that I've seen. Yeah. We leave all the necessary links in the in the blog post, so you can go and read some of those for yourselves, and we'll see you next time.
Indeed.
Cheers, Mark. Bye.
Hey, yourself.